It was a performance that stopped the world, but behind the scenes, a storm of controversy was already brewing. When Courtney Hadwin first took the stage in 2018, the narrative was perfect. The shy schoolgirl with a voice from another dimension. However, the ink wasn't even dry on her golden buzzer before the internet began to dig. Reports surfaced that Courtney wasn't the total amateur the show portrayed. Having previously reached the finals of The Voice Kids UK, accusations surfaced that the show's producers were manipulating the audience's emotions. This initial wave of scrutiny was a trial by fire for a teenager. While the public fell in love with her raw energy, the industry was already beginning to manufacture a brand around her that didn't necessarily align with her reality. The shyness became a point of debate, with many wondering if they were seeing a genuine artist or a carefully crafted character. Despite the noise, Courtney's talent was undeniable, but the weight of being a global phenomenon at 13 was starting to show its cracks. This wasn't just a girl singing a song. It was a child being thrust into a multi-million-dollar machine that expected her to perform on command, regardless of the personal cost. The pressure to maintain that viral magic would eventually lead to a breaking point that no one saw coming. The transition from a quiet village in England to the bright lights of Hollywood happened in a heartbeat, leaving little room for a young girl to find out who she actually was before the world decided for her. Heavy is the head that wears the crown of a legend, especially when that crown is forced upon you by an industry titan like Simon Cowell. Almost immediately, the media branded Courtney as the next Janis Joplin. While meant as a compliment, this comparison became a golden cage. Reporters at the time noted the immense pressure placed on her to revive a 1960s rock and soul aesthetic that was profitable for the labels but stifling for a young artist trying to find her own voice. During her time with Sicko and Sony, there were whispers of creative friction. The machine wanted a nostalgia act, a girl who could belt out "Piece of My Heart" to a stadium of fans who missed the old days. But Courtney was growing up. The gap between the Joplin II image and her own evolving tastes was widening. Sources close to her circle at the time hinted that the constant touring and the demand for a specific sound were taking a toll on her mental well-being. There were fears that she might follow the tragic path of other child stars who were pushed too far, too fast. She was living a life where every move was scrutinized, and every song was a calculation made by executives in boardrooms. The industry wasn't looking for Courtney Hadwin. They were looking for a product that could move tickets. This era of her career was defined by a struggle for autonomy, a battle fought behind closed doors that would eventually lead to a total disappearance from the mainstream media. It was the first sign that the girl the world thought they knew was ready to walk away from it all. Sometimes, the loudest thing an artist can do is go completely silent. Between 2019 and 2025, the headlines regarding Courtney Hadwin began to dry up. For a viral star, this is usually the kiss of death, leading many to believe she had simply faded into obscurity. But our investigation suggests this was a calculated retreat. Reports from 2026 indicate that Courtney used this blackout period to undergo a radical artistic incubation. She wasn't just resting, she was deprogramming herself from the talent show circuit. During these years, Courtney avoided the typical reality TV traps. She didn't sign on for all-star, spin-offs, or low-tier celebrity appearances. Instead, she was seen in underground recording studios in London and Nashville, working with fringe producers who had no interest in the top 40 charts. Rumors circulated that she was struggling with the next steps of her career, but in reality, she was reclaiming her time. This period was essential for her transformation. She had to let the golden buzzer girl die so the adult artist could be born. This wasn't a failure to launch. It was a refusal to be launched by someone else's hand. She was learning the business, hunting her songwriting, and most importantly, waiting for her contracts to expire. The silence was a weapon, allowing her to build a new foundation far away from the prying eyes of the paparazzi and the expectations of a fickle public. When she finally re-emerged, she wasn't looking for a seat at the table. She was ready to flip the table over. Breaking away from a major label is often described as a blood sport, and Courtney's departure from the corporate music world was no exception. By 2025, it became clear that the ties had been severed. This was a move that many industry insiders called career suicide. But for Courtney, it was the only way to avoid a total collapse of her identity. Accusations surfaced in trade journals that her former representation had tried to block her from releasing more experimental material, fearing it would alienate her AGT fanbase. The battle for her masters and her creative rights was a quiet but fierce one. This transition marked the end of the Janis Joplin era. She was no longer willing to be a tribute act. During this time, she began to build an independent team, focusing on a fans-first model that bypassed traditional media gatekeepers. This move allowed her to talk directly to her audience, sharing the struggles of her early career without the filter of a PR team. She became a vocal advocate for artist rights, often hinting at the dark underbelly of child stardom and the way young performers are often viewed as disposable assets. This legal and creative divorce was the final step in her transformation. She was no longer a discovery of a TV judge. She was a self-made woman who had survived the worst the industry could throw at her. The risk was enormous, but the reward was total freedom. The transformation was nearly complete, and the world was about to see a version of Courtney Hadwin that was unrecognizable from the girl who had once stood shaking on a stage in Los Angeles. In 2026, the shaking girl has been replaced by a rock sovereign, and the visual shift is nothing short of breathtaking. With the release of her landmark album, Little Miss Jagged, Courtney Hadwin unveiled a transformation that left critics stunned. Her new aesthetic is a sharp departure from the retro boho look of her youth. In its place is a dark, avant-garde style, sharp lines, heavy leather, and a stage presence that commands authority rather than seeking approval. She's no longer looking to the floor, she's looking directly into the lens. The music itself has evolved into a heavy, synth-driven rock that feels both modern and primal. It's the sound of someone who has found their pulse. Reporters attending her 2026 world tour have noted a cult-like atmosphere in the crowds. She doesn't just sing, she performs with an intensity that feels like a reclamation of her soul. The transformation isn't just skin-deep. It's in the way she handles the media, her refusal to play by the old rules, and her dedication to a sound that is authentically hers. She has become a symbol of resilience for a new generation of artists. The then versus now comparison isn't just about aging. It's about the evolution of a human being who refused to be a footnote in entertainment history. She has effectively exposed the limitations of the talent show format by proving that true longevity comes from what you do after the cameras stop rolling. Courtney Hadwin's journey serves as a stark reminder that the biggest shock in the industry isn't a voice, but a choice. As we look at her status in 2026, she has built a legacy that defies the traditional pop star trajectory. By choosing the independent path, she has secured a future where she owns her art, her image, and her narrative. She has managed to navigate the pitfalls of early fame without the usual public meltdowns or scandals that plague so many child stars. Instead, she used her challenges as fuel for a creative fire that has redefined her career. Her story is a blueprint for how to survive the viral age. Stay quiet, work hard, and never let anyone else hold the pen to your story. The transformation of Courtney Hadwin from a viral anomaly to a respected rock icon is officially complete. She didn't just change her hair or her clothes, she changed the game. As she continues to push boundaries in 2026, one thing is certain: we are no longer watching a girl trying to find her voice. We are watching a woman who has finally decided to use it. It's a powerful conclusion to a decade-long saga, leaving us to wonder how many other stars are one bold decision away from their own insane transformation. Courtney didn't just survive the industry, she conquered it on her own terms. The story of Courtney Hadwin is a testament to the power of self-reinvention. In an era where fame is often fleeting, She has managed to turn a 15-minute window into a lifelong career. It leaves us with a thought-provoking reality. In the world of entertainment, the most exposed truths are often the ones the artists find within themselves.